Tonight on the Black Channel, we're going to have a conversation about whether or not we're trying to do too much, too soon, too fast, too hard. The Black Channel is live. Unapologetic, unadulterated, and absolutely uncompromising. Greetings, brothers and sisters from around the world, and welcome back to the home, the haven, the stronghold, the everlasting superfortress of intelligent black thought. We are the Black Media, and this is the Black Channel, and I am your host, your brother, your humble servant, the voice of Black America, the Black Authority, broadcasting to you live from the only historically black college and university of higher education and learning in the cosmos. You are, of course, welcome to join us. And join us you shall, because on tonight's program, as so many things are progressing and so many things are going right now, the question falls to us whether or not we're going to make enemies and whether or not we are trying to do too much too soon. So tonight's program, I want to talk about taking the hard line. I want to talk about taking the hard line and exactly what that means and exactly what that looks like. And then I think we're moving in the right direction in that regard, to be totally honest. We are moving in the right direction because you don't change things if you are afraid to change things. I'm going to start with something I wanted to talk about when it first got mentioned. And I've posted it on Twitter. And I've been meaning to get to it, but we're going to go ahead and get to that here tonight. Talking about the 14th Amendment. Talking about the 14th Amendment to the Constitution. And the reason why this has come up is because Donald Trump had stated, as a legal maneuver, but a rationale, he had stated that the 14th Amendment, as far as he's concerned, that only applies to the slaves and descendants of slaves, and that's it. Birthright citizenship, you're standing on the soil citizenship, and that's not a thing. The 14th Amendment, that's who it's for. That is what it was for, that's who it is for, that's who it's defined for. And he was telling the absolute truth.
And deal with it.
That is absolutely positively true. And as has always been the case throughout American history, when they make a law, anything they give to us, they immediately go to work trying to water it down and dilute it and say, well, this is for everybody. Now, when it comes to other folk, it doesn't get spread around to us. But when there is something that is supposed to be specifically for us, the history of this country, the pattern and practice of this country is that if you're going to give us anything, then we have to dilute it for everybody, even though nobody else is deserving or it doesn't apply to anyone else. No one else was affected. It's for us. And all of a sudden, okay, we got to water that down. We got to dilute that. Every single time that happens. Every single time. So with that being the case, I want us to go ahead and have a bit of a discussion about that. Now, first of all, I want to go and talk here about on BET, of course, white, black entertainment television. And they have their ambiguous individual who wrote this, Clay Kane. And of course, he's going to work there because they want us to preserve the status quo. Everything is about getting us to preserve the status quo. And we're going to get into that, and I promised you all that would be the case. But before I do that, I want to take a moment to make an observation. Earlier this week, we heard about the passing of Brother Neely Fuller. Brother Neely Fuller, a man who his scholarship and investigation in the realm of sociology with a specialty in white supremacy. This man dedicated his life, like Carter G. Woodson, like so many other scholars before him. He applied the scientific method better than most of these jackasses and clowns you have on cable television pretending to be academics. The man could speak in a very clear and very simple to understand manner, which is the hallmark of a great educator. Michael Eric Dyson is not a great educator. Truth be told, he's not an educator. Neely Fuller was. He could talk to somebody who's been to college. He can talk to a 10-year-old in elementary school, and both of them could equally understand him. That's the hallmark of a great educator. Dr. Frances Cress Welsing acknowledged him as one of the people that she studied and was mentored by. That's high praise. That's high praise for a man who didn't share those types of academic credentials, and yet take a look at what he was. So when you talk about the genius of the descendants of the slaves, when you talk about the genius of black folk, that was and is Brother Neely Fuller. The man didn't just say things. So many people out there use words and use terms, and then when you come back and ask him a week later, it means something different. That was not Neely Fuller. He wrote the compensatory code system concept because he wanted to make this thing written down to say that these are the rules and that this is for you to refer to. Do you realize the dedication that takes to sit down and write something and say that this is going to be a reference book so that when you witness and observe something, you can see this? True scholarship, but not just a true scholar, a true educator, and a true researcher. Because you'll remember that whenever he greeted people on his program, ask him how he was doing, he would say, still learning. All the way until the day that he left this mortal shell, still learning. And of course, we can all hope to be half as diligent as he was in that regard. I remember that even after he had written his books and everything, he added more to it. If you all remember when the Charlottesville white supremacist riots broke out, Brother Neely Fuller, when he was talking about that, he said, I want to add another rule here. That was when we got the one where he said, white supremacy always takes both sides of the argument. I mean, that was him updating and saying, here's a new rule for you all to remember. White supremacy always takes both sides of the argument. Now, somebody could say that, well, he just saying stuff and no, that's just a throwaway line. But if you'll notice, you've heard me mention it dozens of times since then because it's actually stood the test of time. It is actually borne out. When I said years before that, the liberal and conservative and Republican and Democrat, those are labels that the dominant society wears and puts on like a jacket. That's what he's saying, that white supremacy takes both sides of the argument. No wonder they put themselves in positions so that they'll benefit whichever way it goes. And what he meant was that you can't steer something if you're not in front of it. So you have to be prepared for whichever way it goes so that you can steer it if it goes in the direction you didn't originally anticipate. The man was a brilliant thinker. He was a brilliant and diligent thinker. And as has been said throughout history, we will never see his like again. We will never see his like again. And I can only think that we have the burden, but the honor and the privilege of carrying on this man's work. If he were here right now, he would probably be telling me I'm talking too long about him. As a matter of fact, if he were here right now, he would probably be saying, you going on a ways about me, ain't you? You're going on a long time, ain't you? Want to wrap this up? Because he would be the first one to tell you. Remember what he said? I remember that he was once asked about what would happen, Brother Neely Fuller, if we eradicated white supremacy. What do we do? Remember, I think he was talking about the Super Bowl or whatever like that. He said he's not up for celebrations. He said, black folks celebrate too much. We don't have anything to celebrate about. We always want to get into celebration mode, and what do we have to celebrate about? He said, even if we annihilated white supremacy, he said, I suppose you can have a toast or something. You can go ahead and have a toast to it or something, but then we need to move on to the next thing. That's what he said. He said, we wouldn't sit there. He's talking about have a year-long celebration. Or no. If we eradicated white supremacy, I suppose we could have one little get together, one little hurrah about it, but then we would move on to the next problem. Brothers and sisters, do you understand that that is the foundational principle of nation building? That's nation building right there. To have that kind of discipline, those are the type of founders that you need. That from the cradle to the grave, his eye was very firmly on adult things. And he wouldn't be swayed by it. And that is the role model and the example that we need. Dr. John Henry Clark, before he died, said, bury the man and continue the plan. We are a people under siege. We are a people at war. Bury the man and continue the plan. And with Brother Neely Fuller, it will be no different. We will bury the man, but we will continue the plan, and we are better and more prepared for it since. Please remember, Neely Fuller single-handedly replaced the word racism with white supremacy in the common lexicon. That's the man who did it. He's the one who set the mold. He's the one who set the model. He's the one that we got it from. He was banging on it when he said there's only one racism, and that's white supremacy. And remember, originally he used to say, him and Dr. Francis Chris Wilson used to say racism, white supremacy. Racism, white supremacy. That's what they would say. But eventually we knocked that down to just white supremacy. We dropped the racism altogether and said, okay, it's white supremacy. That's it. White supremacy. We no longer say racism. We say white supremacy. And even he, it was brought to him, the Brother Neely Fuller, presidential candidates and presidents, they're now not saying racism, they're saying white supremacy. And he did, of course, what you would expect. He didn't do a victory lap. He didn't say, yeah, that's great, that's wonderful. He didn't sit up here and say, we're going to have a few days in my honor. He said, well, that's good and everything, but now the next thing we need to do, he's like, we can't wait there. He's like, okay, we got that out there, but he was already on to the next. He's like, okay, we got more work to do. We have more work to do. Yes, we've accomplished that, but we're not done. He was immediately on to the next thing. Immediately. Now that's an example to follow. He didn't stop. He didn't do a victory lap. He did nothing. He acknowledged that, okay, people are no longer saying racism. They're now saying white supremacy. Okay, we've centered it. On to the next. He's like, because he knows, people, he knows how we are. If black folk are allowed to stop for even an instant, all progress immediately comes to a crashing halt. And then folks sit up there and act like they've won the game. He's like, no. He's not going to let you rest on your laurels for a second. He's like, get on up. We got more work to do. We still marching. And that's exactly the way to do it. Exactly the way to do it. People, do you understand how rich and wealthy that Neely Fuller Jr. could have been if he had sold out? Academia would have loved to have him. Why, he would have been more colossal than Cornel West. Academia would have loved to have somebody like him who knew how to speak to the field slaves. They would have adored to have somebody like that. Can you imagine where we would be, where he would have been if he had just drunken from the cup of iniquity and said, let me go ahead and go along to get along. Let me go the Henry Louis Gates. Let me go his route. But that man was willing to sacrifice all of that for his people so that we would be more clarified in what we were dealing with. So that when things were said to us, we knew how to respond. Do you realize how many decades it took Neely Fuller Jr. to replace the lexicon of racism with the label of white supremacy? Do you realize how many decades that man had to sit there and say racism, white supremacy, and then the new black media picked up, and then it went from there? Do you realize if he had stopped before then, we might not have gotten there? If he had been unwilling to just keep marching and keep plowing on regardless. Do you realize that? That's dedication. That's commitment. That is dedication, and that is commitment. And even though I might not have agreed with everything he had to say there, I don't agree with everything anybody's got to say, and nobody agrees with everything I got to say. At least I hope you don't. What I will say is I hope that I have half the effect that he did. If I really work at it, and I really try really hard, and I really dedicate myself to it, and I don't take any days off, maybe I can have half the effect and half the impact and half the imprint that Neely Fuller Jr. did. If I really stick at it for the rest of my life, maybe I'll have half of that. Maybe. But in the meantime, if our way has been lit better, if our resolve is more firm, if our certainty is more solidified, it is because we had Neely Fuller Jr. there, who did the meticulous work of going into withering, exhaustive, comprehensive detail, analyzing every conceivable dimension of white supremacy to make sure that every argument that could be raised to defend white supremacy, he made sure you had a cogent, concrete response that no academic, no politician, no psychiatrist, no spinmeister, no propagandist would be able to refute. You're ready. You are ready to go anywhere, anytime, and you are fit to go into intellectual combat against white supremacy and prevail every single time, because you're not going off of some religious flim-flam, and you're not going off of a belief. You're going off of knowledge and facts, not a belief. I would like to wrap this up by saying that Brother Neely Fuller, in true academic fashion, he was unafraid to take on concepts that would have scared other people. Brother Neely Fuller did not get bogged down in the idea of labeling white supremacy as evil or good. Because Brother Neely Fuller understood that whether you like it or not, good and evil is decided by the winners. Whoever is in power is who determines what is good and what is evil, what is, quote, right and what is wrong. Well, that's determined by who's in power. And while we all have a general idea that some things are wrong, the bottom line is, whether you like it or not, right and wrong are determined by who's in power. So how do you defeat white supremacy if white supremacy is in power and it says, well, I'm right? Brother Neely Fuller did not get bogged down in trying to determine whether or not you were right. He conceded that and said, well, you're in power, so I suppose you get to define what is right. However, you do not get to define what is constructive. And when he talked about the difference between justice and injustice, it was not a choice between right and wrong, good and evil. It is constructive versus destructive. And that ultimately we are supposed to be looking for the most constructive outcome. The outcome that is most constructive for the most people. And if you have ignored an option that is more constructive for more people, well, that's the problem. So you are, I don't know if you're evil, but I know that you're destructive. I'm not sure whether or not you are good or evil, but I know that you are unjust because you are destructive. And that we can show you. That's not a matter of opinion. And Brother Neely Fuller delved into that and solidified it and codified it so that everyone understands exactly what it is, so that you're not getting bogged down in arguments over good and evil and right and wrong. You've got them on firm foundation and on firm terrain where you can defend what you're saying there. That's the type of scholarship that you don't hear from Skip Gates, Michael Eric Dyson, or any Mark Lamont Schill, or any of the bumwads out there. That's the difference. That's the difference. And that will be Neely Fuller Jr.'s legacy. Neely Fuller Jr.'s legacy will be you and me and us and we, all of us. Never ending, never ceasing, always learning. Rest in power, Brother Fuller. Rest in power. You've shown the way. We'll take it from here. And that brings us to simple facts and truth as we discuss about the 14th Amendment. The 14th Amendment of the United States Constitution, specifically written for us, specifically written because of us, specifically written to address for us. And there's something I want you to go over here. I want to go over this because BET is going to show you exactly why people are trying to distort this thing. Now, in their article, they said, ratified in 1868, the 14th Amendment is one of the Reconstruction Amendments designed to secure the rights of formerly enslaved people. It granted citizenship to, quote, all persons born or naturalized in the United States, overturning the infamous 1857 Dred Scott versus Sanford decision, which had declared that black people, free or enslaved, could never be citizens. The 14th Amendment was a profound rejection of a dehumanizing doctrine, establishing equality and due process under the law as cornerstones of American governance. Trump's executive order threatens to reverse this progress, taking aim at birthright citizenship, which is not the same as what's in the 14th Amendment, taking aim at birthright citizenship and undermining the very amendment that shot down the Dred Scott ruling. Attorneys general from Arizona, Oregon, Washington, and Illinois have already sued, describing Trump's order as a modern-day attempt to resurrect the principles of Dred Scott. Now, these are states. Oregon was a sundown state. Forget the damn sundown town. We're talking about sundown states. And when you go take a look at the state of the black population in Oregon today, in Washington state today, in Arizona today, they got a whole lot of brass to sit up here and talk about resurrect the principles of Dred Scott. You all never got rid of them. Your states never got rid of them. I've been to these places. Folks, I've been to these places. Hop your ass out in Chandler, Arizona, Tucson, Arizona. Get off of Interstate 5 in Oregon. And you will very quickly see, oh, you are a fish out of water. They go on to say that this isn't hyperbole. It's a calculated move to roll back over 150 years of civil rights progress. Their emergency motion read, President Trump and the federal government now seek to impose a modern-day version of Dred Scott. You should not be naming the Dred Scott unless you have defended us. If you have not defended the descendants of the slaves, how dare you sit up here and try to go in front of the Supreme Court and tell them that somebody else is trying to impose Dred Scott and your states have been enforcing it ever since. You've been undermining our rights ever since, and you have the gall to sit up here and talk about to invoke Dred Scott when you have been the people perpetuating it. They go on down here to say, no president in modern history has dared to issue an executive order contradicting a constitutional amendment. Why? Because constitutional amendments are not optional. They are the highest law of the land, requiring rigorous legal processes to amend or interpret. Yet, in Trump's America, this foundational principle is up for grabs. His administration will more than likely fast-track the issue to the Supreme Court, banking on the conservative majority to reinterpret the 14th Amendment. Not reinterpret it, properly interpret it. This is not just a theoretical concern. The same court that dismantled Roe v. Wade, a precedent many believed untouchable, you can believe whatever you want to, it was not constitutional. Roe v. Wade was not constitutional. Nothing in the Constitution says anything about abortion. Do you realize the stretch you have to try to make up to find something in there and say, oh, this is referring to it? No, it's not. No, it isn't. The same court that dismantled Roe v. Wade could very well entertain Trump's audacious bid. If the court upholds his order, it would set a dangerous precedent. The Constitution could be overridden by executive fiat. First of all, they ignore the Constitution every damn day where we're concerned. When the hell is the last time that they acknowledged the Constitution where we're concerned? They trample the Constitution on a daily damn basis where we're concerned. We are denied due process every damn day. We're denied due process in America every day. While they're talking about executive fiat. When have they upheld our constitutional rights? When have they done that? Do you realize how stupid you sound talking about executive fiat? They override the Constitution. They override it every damn day. They go on to say a slippery slope for civil rights. If Trump can rewrite the 14th Amendment, what's stopping him from targeting others? Could he issue an executive order nullifying the 15th Amendment, which prohibits racial discrimination in voting? Folks, have we been protected from racial discrimination in voting? What? Somebody tell me when we have been protected from racial discrimination in voting. Why the hell do we need the Civil Rights Act and the Voting Rights Act if the 15th Amendment protected racial discrimination in voting, people? If the 15th Amendment protected us, why the hell did we need the Voting Rights Act and the Civil Rights Act? Somebody needs to go tell Clay here, because apparently he doing light skin stuff. He don't know. Clearly he doesn't. He's trying to educate us about the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendments. And yet clearly he is unaware of the history after that. Clearly he is unaware. Clearly he's unaware. Imagine the implications in a modern America where mass incarceration disproportionately affects black and brown communities. The prison industrial complex has already been criticized as a loophole that perpetuates systemic exploitation. But repealing or undermining the 13th Amendment would obliterate any remaining safeguards against forced labor. When have we been protected? When have we been protected? What is he talking about? Forced labor, what is he talking about? Black Americans should be particularly concerned. Here they come with the scare tactics. The 14th Amendment wasn't just about birthright citizenship. Now, remember what I told you all there before. Remember when I said the 14th Amendment is not about birthright citizenship, not the way you all are trying to say this. So you notice that he's very concerned about birthright citizenship. So individuals who do not identify with us and do not pledge their allegiance to blackness and instead pledge their allegiance to their lineage for the purposes of separating themselves from us and distinguishing themselves from us, that birthright citizenship is very important to them. You see, they didn't fight for a claim, and they're not actually owed a claim, so they put all their stock on the birthright citizenship thing. That's not us. That's not us. And I'll explain to you why. By the way, anybody who wants to have a scholarly look at this, I'll explain to you why, because there'll be jackasses out there who will try to argue it. They don't actually understand these things, and they listen to other folk and they have an agenda. No, we'll just go through the text of it. It was a hard-fought victory for equality, justice, and the right to exist as full citizens in this country. To dismantle it is to open the door to the erosion of all rights gained through the blood, sweat, and tears of those who came before us. Who are the those, dude? Who are the those? They keep leaving out who the those are. This isn't just about immigrants. Damn! Yes, it is. So you notice that, folks, take a look at what he's doing. He gets down there at the end and it's like, okay, then they start stomping for what they really came for. This is the tactic they always use. This is about black, 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 black. They coming for you and me, black, brother, black, 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 black. And then right when they get to the end, here comes the swerve. Right when he gets to the end, they, just like Kamala Harris, the Democrat Party, and everybody else, when they're trying to sit up here and sell you some detour and sell you some jive talk, they'll say black, 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 black. Right when you get to the policy part, here comes the swerve. So he's here to tell you, look, this isn't just about immigrants or children born to non-citizens. Why are you mentioning them if it's not about them? If it's not about them, why are you mentioning it? They always come with the damn sleight of hand and the smoke and mirrors and the shell game. If it's not about them, why are you mentioning them? It's about the power of a president to circumvent the Constitution, the guardrails of democracy, and the rights of every citizen. So now all of a sudden he's Alexander Hamilton. It's about a leader who gave blanket pardons to January 6th insurrectionists. Dude, do you really want to get into the blanket pardons thing after what Joe Biden pulled? Trump did that right after Joe Biden. Okay. Dude, you're standing on wet sand. Just bad idea, dude. Bad idea. Bad. Some of whom engaged in violent attacks on law enforcement and democracy itself, while simultaneously attempting to undermine the very Constitution they swore to uphold. This is bigger than politics. Trump's actions are a direct challenge to the principle that no one, not even the president, is above the law. Yet Joe Biden's been above the law? All right. Which president hasn't been? And if you think this has nothing to do with you, think again. The erosion of constitutional protections doesn't stop with one group or one amendment. It's a domino effect, and sooner or later, you will feel the impact. Now, you've all watched and witnessed as on social media, they have tried in vain to tell all of us that, you know, first Trump gonna put the illegals on the buses, then they coming for you, FBA. They coming for all of you next. First they gonna get us, then they gonna come get you. Which, of course, is nonsense. But this is what they have to do. Because they're hoping that there are enough slow people out there who won't get it and won't understand. So let's go ahead and clear this up real quick. This is the text from the 14th Amendment. It says, all persons born or naturalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof are citizens of the United States and of the state wherein they reside. No state shall make or enforce any law which shall abridge the privileges or immunities of citizens of the United States. Citizens, not residents. Damn! Are you listening to me over there, Mr. Clay? See, this doesn't apply to us because we are citizens, not residents. We predate the Europeans being here, and even those who were brought over here on slave ships or by any other means, Those were not residents. Illegal aliens may be residing or they may be present, but you're not a citizen. So this is where it falls apart. And this is why I'm telling you that these other folks trying to tell you that you have squatters' rights. The 14th Amendment is not granting squatters' rights. Let me explain to you why, folks. And they're going to hate you for this. They're going to hate when somebody comes along and explains this. But pay attention. That first sentence up there. All persons born or naturalized in the United States. Now, that was referring specifically to the slaves and former slaves or anybody who could end up 12 years a slave and pressed into servitude illegally. That was putting the exclamation point on it. All persons born or naturalized. You have to understand the context in which that was being written. If you were a slave, what they were saying was that because of 13th Amendment, emancipation, and all of that, they were acknowledging that we are now naturalized. You're already born and whatnot, but it's just saying, okay, you're born or naturalized. That covered us on both halves. That covered us on both sides. You don't have a legal argument one way or the other. Okay, if they're the slaves, they were either born or we're now naturalizing them. But this covers them, so there's no mechanism for you to deny their citizenship. You can't say, well, the children were born, so they're citizens, but I own Dred over here. Now, he was beforehand. I own him. No, we've naturalized him. So both Dred Scott and his descendants, he's naturalized, the descendants are born. And actually, he was born, but just in case anybody tries to argue that his being born isn't enough, he's naturalized. So that is it. That is it. That is the government saying that this covers you. This covers and legitimizes your citizenship status. You are no longer property. No one can come up and make an argument that you're property. You are a citizen. And they can only argue that you're born and naturalized. Well, you're covered. And you are subject to the jurisdiction of these state and federal governments. And no one can make a law that abridges that. Now, let me go back to that first clause there again, because the reason that had to be made is, remember something, folks. There's something you all have to remember about slavery. Slavery only applied to us. There's a bunch of you out there there's a bunch of folks out there who try to play the con game on you and say indentured servants were slaves. No, they were not. Indentured servants were not property. People, I'm trying to do my brother Neely Fuller thing right now. You don't have to go into a long drawn out explanation with somebody. If they try to bring up and compare indentured servants to slaves, no, they were not slaves, because indentured servants were not property. They had a bad record deal. What? That's what indentured servants had. They just had a crappy record deal. They were not property. They were not property. Their children were not property. These other folk are hoping you don't know that. They were exactly what the word said, indentured servants. They just had a bad record deal. That's all they had. But they were not property. And furthermore, they chose that. They made a decision. You're not a slave when you say, hey, let me go ahead and do this for you right here. They had their rights, and their rights were acknowledged. They had their rights, and their rights were acknowledged. So don't go round and round with nobody. I just told you exactly what you need to say. They bring up indentured servants. Hey, dude, indentured servants were not property, nor were their children property. So what else you got? And if they tried to say something else, were they anybody's property? No, they were not. Could they be sold? No, they couldn't. And that's the end of that. They're just hoping that you don't know how to debate it or you don't understand the difference between the two. And then now they got you saying, well, you know what I mean? But it was really bad for us. No, it wasn't really bad for us. We were the only slaves. It was all right for y'all. We were the only ones. It wasn't bad for you and really bad for us. You're okay. We were the only ones who had it bad. Period. But here's the other thing. From the first clause up there, all persons born or naturalized. Once again, that is only referring to the slaves and the descendants of the slaves. It was only referring to us because white men's naturalization was never in question. Damn! There's the other part of it. No one ever disputed the Europeans who came over here, whether they had documents or not. No one ever disputed their citizenship, their presence, their residency, their rights. No one ever disputed them. No one was going to court and as a group. Don't try to bring out some individual. No one was disputing white people who were white immigrants. No one was disputing their naturalization status. No one disputed their status as naturalized citizens. That's how you know the 14th Amendment, it was only referring to us. Show me where they were disputing anybody else. They were only disputing us. That's it. That's it. That's it. That's it. One more thing here. Anybody bringing up football or Super Bowl, you're probably going to end up getting banned. I may be nice tonight and just kick you out for 24 hours. But you want to go discuss football, go get back under your mama's skirt is where you need to be. You in grown folks' business over here. You in grown folks' business here. Let's be very clear about that. Some folks got slow. I don't know whether they just heard me talking there. By the way, let me just go ahead and get you out of here. Since very clearly you want to focus on something else, let me go ahead and let you focus on that for the rest of your life. Moving right along here in the tradition of Brother Neely Fuller, now that problem has been resolved. No one was ever questioning white people's naturalized status. No one was ever questioning whether or not they were citizens because they were naturalized. So white people didn't need an amendment. They didn't need the Constitution to protect them because the Constitution already protected them. So that is once again reinforcing, this only applied to us. This was only spurred by us. 13th Amendment, who were the slaves? Why did you have to outlaw slavery? Show me the white slaves. If slavery wasn't about, here's another thing that gets y'all bad. Some of y'all who hang around the Ben Shapiros and the Thomas Sowells and the Larry Elders and the rest of the jackasses out there who try to tell you that slavery wasn't about race, it was about class. If slavery was not about race, show me the white slaves. Damn! If slavery was not about race, show me the white slaves. Okay, now that we fixed that. Now that we fixed that. So once again, when you go over these constitutional amendments, they were referring specifically to us. They were not referring to anybody else. They were not talking about anybody else. The United States government got together to discuss our business, to address specifically us. No one else was a slave. No one else was eligible to become property. No one else could have them and their children sold into slavery. No one else's human rights were being violated and written into law. Just us. So when you write an amendment about slavery, you're referring to only us. That's it. not a class of people, a race of people. Because none of these other, quote, classes were eligible to be property. And when you had to follow up with the 14th and 15th Amendments, that's because the states and other people were trying to ignore or circumvent the 13th Amendment. So you had to come back and make two more amendments specifically to think about that for a few moments. You only had to do the First Amendment one time. The Second Amendment one time. You didn't have to have any other amendments to protect the First and Second Amendment because folks weren't trying to circumvent them. They made the 13th Amendment, which is clear as damn day, and then had to immediately come back and put in two more amendments, not one amendment, two more amendments to reinforce the 13th Amendment, because that's how dedicated to upholding and enforcing white supremacy America was and is. That you couldn't just have one amendment and we go on about our business. You got to come back and go make two more amendments because people keep violating the first one. That's what it was. And it wasn't for no immigrants. You had plenty of white immigrants over here. Nobody was violating them. Go read the story of the Oklahoma Panhandle if you don't believe me, and how the Oklahoma Panhandle became what it is. If anybody wants to try to make the ignorant, stupid ass argument that any white immigrants or white people's citizenship or their presence here was not being honored, go look up the story of the Oklahoma Panhandle. And that'll put the lie to that one very quickly. That'll put the lie to it very quickly. So when you talk about if you were born or naturalized, we are the only people that being born here or naturalized here was not being honored. The fact that you were born here or naturalized under law, we ain't paying that no attention. So we had to make a 14th Amendment to say, okay, stop messing with the damn former slaves. That's what the 14th Amendment basically says. Stop messing with the damn former slaves. Knock it off. Knock it off. We meant what we said in the 13th Amendment. Yes, stop it with the garbage. That's what the 14th Amendment is saying. Stop playing with the former slaves. They're here now. They're here. We're acknowledging them. They're here. And even after that, you had to come back with a 15th Amendment. But let's be very, very clear. 13, 14, and 15, they were written for us. They were specifically referencing us, and they were specifically addressing us. And then after that, because white supremacy is an evolutionary organism, you had individuals in the courts, individuals in the government who decided to start diluting and watering down 14 and 15, but specifically 14. They started attacking 14 and stretching it and expanding it and bringing other people into it. Not because it actually covered them, but because they wanted to undermine us, which is what every law they quote passed for us. They pass one quote for us, and I told you they immediately go to work undermining it. I just explained it to you. We got the 13th Amendment, and they immediately went to work undermining it. We got the 14th Amendment. They went to work undermining that. Now we're going to have a 15th Amendment. They went to work undermining that. Remember, it doesn't stop with 13, 14, 15, because remember, we still need to have not one, not two, but truthfully 3 Civil Rights Acts. Actually, we've had a number of Civil Rights Acts. We've only had the ones that have to have their name on it. We've had a never-ending cascade of Civil Rights Acts, basically trying to put your finger in the holes in the dike to stop the water from coming through. The Voting Rights Act, which you've had a couple of those. So in truth, they never stopped. It never ended. Oh yeah, and one more thing. By the way, the bombing of the Black Wall Streets happened after the constitutional amendments, people. The bombing of the Black Wall Streets happened after 13, 14, 15. Please remember that. Now, if our rights as citizens, if our constitutional rights were ever acknowledged, how the hell, tell me how the state of Oklahoma, Panhandle, Oklahoma blew up the whole damn town. What part of due process was that? Wilmington, North Carolina, same thing. Rosewood, same thing. We'll go down the damn list. Why they flatly ignored our constitutional rights at the city level, the state level, and the federal level. All of them conspired and agreed. You're not covered by, yeah, it's in the law, but you ain't covered by that. We're not going to acknowledge your rights under the 13th Amendment, 14th Amendment, or 15th Amendment. Folks, understand something. They went bombing and blowing us up from sea to shining sea. From sea to shining sea. They ignored our rights to due process. That has been the law of the land. There are no white people who have this story. There are no Asians who have this story. There are no Indians, no Arabs, no Latinos who have this story. We're the only ones that this applies to. You can't even sit up here and smoke the biggest crack rock in the world and come to the hallucination this applies to somebody else. You can't name anybody else whose history shows that, oh, this was referring to you. No. You came from Vietnam. You came from Germany. That's your history over there. That 14th Amendment, that's us. Just us. Only us. Only us. We are not illegal aliens. We are legal aliens. Damn! As I have always told you all, I have never said that we are not U.S. citizens. We are U.S. citizens whose rights have not been acknowledged. But y'all know, those of you who've been following me since day one, you know I've always said, no, we are legal aliens. You trespassers, you're illegal aliens. We are born and naturalized, but we're legal aliens under this government. Under this government. Please understand the distinction. White supremacy is about ignoring facts. Yes, we were here before any of them, but under this government, which was established by conquest, under this government, we are legal aliens. Our indigenous status means nothing. It doesn't have the same meaning. So keep that in mind. It's not about what the facts are. We know what the facts are, but the government is like, okay, well, I don't really deal in facts. I'm white and I say so. But we are not illegal aliens. We're not illegal aliens. We are not refugees. We are not trespassers. Let me explain something to you right here. To the Asian folk who claimed that they were working on the Intercontinental Railroad, well, there wasn't a single one of you, if you got up and left, somebody was going to come hunt you down and bring you back. Let me just go ahead and get that out the way right quick so that we clarify the clear distinctions here so people stop trying to compare themselves to our experience. You had a different experience from us. There were no white people that if they stopped working on the railroad, somebody was coming to get them to bring them back. If you got up and left, they went to go see if they could find another person from Asia, another person from Ireland, another person from Italy to take your place. They wasn't going to hunt your ass down. You had the Dred Scott decision because if we got up and left, somebody was coming to get us. You had whole acts, the fugitive slave laws. If we got up and left, somebody was coming to get us. If they found you somewhere, they were putting you in handcuffs and taking you back where you were. That's the difference. If you came over here from Cuba, wet foot, dry foot, wasn't nobody from Cuba trying to come and get you back? If you were over here from Mexico after the war and Mexican-American War and you were still over here, wasn't nobody trying to get you back? If you went to work somewhere and you left, you were an employee. When you got up and you had the right to get up and leave and was nobody coming to get you. You just gone. And they acknowledged and honored your right to leave. We needed 3 amendments because they didn't acknowledge or honor our right to leave. That's the difference. What you've been through ain't what we've been through. You made a choice to come here. You're not like us at all. So nobody is going to sit here and play this damn con job where you try to tell the world you're like us. No, you're not. And we're stopping that lie now. You're not like us. These amendments were not for you because you didn't need them. People, let's be very, very clear. And Mr. Clay and the rest of the jackasses out there of your lineage, you try to sit up here and distort the 14th Amendment. People, you didn't need a constitutional amendment to protect immigrants. First of all, there was no call for immigrants that you need to put in the Constitution. The Constitution is not, we need more immigrants. That's not what the Constitution says. There's no part of the Constitution that says we need more immigrants. However you get here, we need more people. It doesn't say that. There's no part that says we need more of you. Yes, they did put out a call to them, but not in the Constitution. So what I'm saying is that the people they put the call out to did not need a constitutional amendment to protect them. I'm taking you all through this because you do understand this is the legal rationale and underpinning that debunks anybody who tries to lump themselves in and fold themselves into our amendments. Asians did not need a 13th, 14th, or 15th Amendment. If they did, they never would have come here. If Asians thought that they would come over here and get put into slavery, do you think they ever would have come? Come on, folks. Asians came here because they knew, not they thought, not they hoped, not they wished, not they prayed. They knew, oh, them slave laws don't apply to us. They ain't gonna be locking us up. No, them slave laws, it's them dark folk over there. This applies to them. It doesn't apply to us. Since we got to go ahead and revisit this because your schools don't teach slavery, nor do they teach critical thinking skills. They don't teach either one of those, so you can get very easily bamboozled. Excuse me, if slavery applied to a class of people, why is it that Asians were not afraid of becoming slaves when they came over here? Because they knew, I'm not going to be a slave. No matter what, I'm not a slave. Okay, then he doesn't need an amendment that says slavery is illegal. If nobody's trying to enslave him, oh, well, his humanity is being automatically acknowledged and honored. He don't need an amendment. The Mexicans who were over here didn't need an amendment because they were white people up until 1970. They were white people right up until 1970. And by the way, and proudly so. And proudly so. It's only when things went left, that was when things got different. You all can go, I told you all about that song before. Marty Robbins. You can go look up the song El Paso by Marty Robbins. He starts the damn thing out in the West Texas town of El Paso. I fell in love with a Mexican girl. That song was written back in what, hold on just when did he write that song? 1959. He wrote that song in 1959, people. Oh, so in other words, in the middle of damn segregation. So in the middle of damn segregation, this is a white man talking about in the West Texas town of El Paso. I fell in love with a Mexican girl. Oh, okay, we got that. Oh, okay. Oh, yeah. Oh, y'all was white. Y'all were white. Okay, now that we have, folks, this is why we have to go be able to dig through the crates and come up with examples. Yes, you have to prosecute this and defend this like a court case. I am showing you the documentation. Oh, they were white. Yeah, he couldn't sit up there and sing out in the deep, dark jungles of Ethiopia. I fell in love with a Nubian girl. That song was destined to be a flop. That song was destined to be a flop. Yeah, he had to rewrite them lyrics. Even if that's what he was really feeling. It's like, yeah, his producers, they heard him bust that tune out. It's like, oh, Marty, you got to rewrite that. No. Yes. Out in the golden fields of Kenya, I fell in love with a Nubian girl. Yeah, not that one neither. No, not that one neither. Marty, we brought a ghostwriter in for you. Since you got jungle fever, Marty, you got a nice voice, we brought a ghostwriter in. We're going to rework these lyrics just a little bit. Don't worry. We're just going to do a little nip tuck. Yeah, we're erasing that Ethiopia, Kenya. Okay. All right. Okay. Marty, we made a slight adjustment to it. Out in the West Texas town of, I ain't even been to West Texas. I ain't even been to El Paso. Marty, just trust us. This one right here. Just trust us. It's what you doing? Yeah. Okay, so folks, in 1959, remember Elvis Presley, he did a radio interview. He had to come back to the station. He had done the interview on the station. White folk thought he was black, which is just insane. But anyway, white folk thought Elvis Presley was black. And when he was debuting and he was doing the radio station interview and he left the radio station, they called him to come back so they could tell, just so he could tell them that he went to Riverside High School. And because the schools were segregated, it's like, oh, he's white. So that's how he could say he was white without saying, oh, by the way, y'all, I ain't black, I'm white. Okay, well, Marty Robbins, if that's how serious the situation was for Elvis Aaron Presley, it was more serious for Marty Robbins, and he had no problem singing that he was in love with a Mexican girl. He had no issue saying that at all. Okay, well, that tells you what the status of Mexican people were in white people's eyes. Case closed. What else you got? So they didn't need to have an amendment. And don't tell me, now let me go ahead and knock down this next one here before anybody else tries to jump out here. Oh, we going off into it tonight. Don't try to sit up here and hit me with the damn, oh, well, they had signs, no niggers, dogs, or Mexicans. Get the hell out of here. They also had signs that said Irish need not apply. I've told you all about this for years now. Go watch the Martin Scorsese movie, The Departed. That monologue at the beginning by Jack Nicholson. 20 years after an Irishman couldn't get an effing job, we had the presidency. May he rest in peace. So yeah, don't give me that. I'm not gonna play that game. Don't give me that. You had some white folks there was some ethnic stuff there. Okay, I can show you these other signs. I can show you these other signs that were out there too. And those people didn't need a constitutional amendment to get protection. As a matter of fact, their whiteness, I'm going to go there. Their whiteness was so honored that they were allowed to have damn me gangs in the middle of the damn street. What? Martin Scorsese, again, Gangs of New York. Francis Ford Coppola and The Godfather. The 5 Points in New York, and that was just New York. New York, Chicago, Philadelphia, Boston. They were allowed to be white and rowdy. They were allowed to be white and rowdy and bowdy. To the point that up there in Boston, armored car robbery capital of America. Not East St. Louis, not Watts, not Compton, not south side of Chicago. Up there where the white gangs are, up there where the Irish gangs are, that's the number one place to get your armored car knocked off. Right there. Oh yeah. And they were allowed to operate. What? And they were allowed. Hell, Whitey Bulger was mobbed up with the damn feds, and he's just the one they talked about. He was just the one they talked about. Okay, let me show you another difference. You damn right. Since we going into it tonight, let's just go all the way in. Frank Lucas couldn't cut no deal like that. They didn't send Frank Lucas back out on the streets. They put Whitey Bulger back out on the streets. They put them mobsters back out on the streets. They put the Italian mobsters back out on the streets. They put the Irish mobsters back out on the streets. Frank Lucas, you can snitch on every damn body and hold this 10-year sentence. Nicky Barnes, you can snitch on everybody, hold this 10-year sentence. Whitey Bulger, tell us what you know. As a matter of fact, you ain't even got to spend no time. You ain't even got to spend no time. Am I making it up, folks? Am I making this up? Am I lying? Am I making this all up? Am I up here freestyling? Am I ad-libbing? Am I just writing this up as I go along? Or are those the facts? And they talk about Whitey Bulger. Whitey was just one among many. Whitey Bulger was just one among many that the feds were working with. I'll let you all go Google that one. It was bigger than Whitey Bulger. It was much more than Whitey Bulger. Now, for the black gang members, nah. Here, hold this 20 years. Hold this right here. Yeah, I need you to hold this. He done snitched on everybody but his mama. Yeah, I need you to hold this 20 years, though. I need you to do this. You got to hold this. You wasn't black, and if I snitch on enough people, I'm going home. No. If I snitch on enough people, not if I snitch on enough people, I'm going home. If I have enough information, y'all gonna let me get back out here on the streets and operate. Not only are you not gonna arrest me, y'all gonna let me get back out here on the streets and get back to my business and operate. You ain't gonna arrest me, and you gonna let me operate. I'm gonna get back out here and do what I do. And you're gonna tell your bosses we have to let him keep running his rackets, otherwise people are gonna get suspicious about him. So he works for us, but we're gonna let him keep running his rackets, because if he doesn't, people are gonna get suspicious. Ain't that a trip? So let me get there. I've been slanging dope. I've been running hoes. I've been running numbers. I went down to the station. I come back out. First order of business. I was smacking this chick up. Where my damn money? Well, I thought you got arrested, Whitey. I thought you got arrested. You're thinking too much. Break my bread. He hitting his corners. He hitting his blocks. He hitting his corners and hitting his blocks. Like, I'll be damned. Didn't you just get arrested? He's like, oh, I'm back on the street and I'm tearing it up. He didn't miss a beat or a beat down. Like, we got to let him operate. Otherwise, folks get suspicious. He's like, yeah, they got to let me operate. They got to let me operate. Nicky Barnes and Frank Lucas is looking out the damn jail cell like, wait a minute. So I got to sit down for 20 years, but Whitey gets to get back out tonight and get back to the business? But I got to sit down for 20 years. I done told on more people than he did, but I got to sit down. Oh, you ain't never heard no story like that before. Never in your life. You can't name a single black person. That's what they got. Not only did he get to it, because if you black, if you snitch, they let every damn body know you snitched. Whitey Bulger is on the damn street, busting him up and every damn thing else and doing whatever the hell he pleased, and he just one among many. He's one among many. So they're allowed to operate. They were always allowed to operate. We ain't never been allowed to operate. People, we have never gotten any protections. We ain't never gotten any protections. None. So that is why we needed an amendment. Because nobody was protecting our rights. These other people, nobody said we need a 14th Amendment. Think of all the Chinese. We need a 14th Amendment. Think of all the Mexicans. We need a 14th Amendment to protect all of the Palestinians. Nobody was saying that. Which means that their focus and their rationale was strictly and specifically on the former slaves. Immigration is a separate issue. You are neither a born nor naturalized citizen. You're not protected by the 14th Amendment because you are a trespasser. You are not a citizen. You're a you are a resident at best. You're a squatter at best and a trespasser at worst. But any discussion about you is a separate issue from the 14th Amendment. 14 does not apply to you. The 14th Amendment is not an immigration amendment, people. The 14th Amendment, by its definition, they convened the Constitutional Convention in order to say, okay, we need another amendment to clarify number 13 because the white supremacists out here wilding out. 14 clarifies 13. And we've already established that 13 was only for us. 13 was not for immigrants. 14 is not about immigrants either. It is specifically for the people whose born and naturalized status was not being honored. Those who were former slaves but are alive, you are now naturalized. As of 1868, you're now naturalized. And your children will automatically be born citizens on account of the fact that you are now a citizen yourself. So we went through the proper channels. We are not recipients of squatters' rights. Don't let some jackass sit up here and try to make some equivocation that you and me are squatters and that the 14th Amendment is to defend squatters' rights. We were not squatters and we are not squatters. We are not trespassers and we were not trespassers. So don't attempt to lump us in with squatters and trespassers. This was to protect our citizenship rights. And now you all have been completely clarified of what that means. There is no arguing around it. There is no jumping around it. What they will attempt to say next is, well, there have been Supreme Courts that have used the 14th Amendment in order to excuse trespassing by other people. Well, that needs to be overturned because that is not what that amendment is for, nor is it what it says. That is not what it's for, and that's not what it says. Those clauses are specifically for us. That's what it says. That's who it's for. You want to talk about immigration? Get your own amendment. If you want to protect your squatters' rights, get your own damn amendment. As a matter of fact, I look forward to you trying that one. I would love to open up another constitutional convention because we can get a number of things clarified with another amendment. Yeah, we can actually get a few things clarified with that. Try getting your 2/3 majority for illegals. Let's see how that goes. I would actually like another constitutional convention. We can get a whole bunch of things clarified. I'd like you, just like California Proposition 8. Everybody likes LGBT marriage, and then they had an election. It's like, okay, True got put to that in California. Then they just said, screw it, tell the courts, give it to us anyway. Damn the people, damn the vote, damn the law, tell the judge, give it to us anyway. And that's what happened to us with the 14th Amendment, people. California held a vote, held a referendum on gay marriage. Prop 8 said, yeah, California, Rachel Maddow is a liar. California does not approve of it. Then when they failed, oh well, screw the people, screw the law, screw the vote. Get a judge to say that it doesn't matter what the people say. Well, that's how they gangstered their way into diluting the 14th Amendment. They gangstered their way into it. They know full damn well it did not apply to other people, but they gangstered their way through and said, damn it, I got the gavel. Okay, we ain't gonna have something here that just protects you. Damn that. Anybody and everybody. Case closed. So just understand the 14th Amendment got distorted and corrupted and diluted and mutated and contaminated because they gangstered their way on and just said, damn, whatever it say, is the law is whatever the hell I say it is. I say it means more than that, so damn you. That's how we ended up here. Not because the 14th Amendment gave it to them. They gangstered it. And we, because of our position, we didn't jump up and immediately say, hey, no, because at the time, a lot of folks were operating under the idea, well, they're minorities like us, and they're not white, so they're going to have some camaraderie with us, so it's okay that they're ignoring that this is specifically for us because these other people will give us strength in numbers. Here comes LULAC. Damn! Didn't see that one coming. Folks wasn't looking. Yeah, we got strength in numbers. Here comes LULAC. Here they come. Oh, there goes your strength in numbers. There goes your strength in numbers right there. There it goes. There it went. Early on, there it went. So please understand, the 14th Amendment did not get snatched from us because that's what it says. The 14th Amendment got gangstered from us because they said, okay, we white and we say so. What they're all upset and angry about is that we saying, yeah, y'all gangstered that away. What about Trump? You gonna agree with Trump? I'm like, I'm not really concerned about the messenger. I'm concerned about the damn message. So you're not gonna play that little trick bag. I'm less concerned about the messenger and far more concerned about the message. Yeah, that's our amendment. It sure is. Well, they didn't see that one coming. They waiting on us to jump up, people. They're trying everything. You know, Trump is going to take away this and that. Yeah, that doesn't apply to us. We're citizens. Hell, we're indigenous. So that doesn't apply to us. That doesn't apply to us. These other folk, man, they left their damn family photos back on their tables in Nicaragua. What? We know where to take you. We got pictures of you in your hometown back in Guatemala. We know where to take you. I'll be damned. If they came for me, it's like, we taking you back where you came from. Where, Lafayette? Alexandria? Where you taking me? I guess I have to catch a cab back to Shreveport, but where you taking me? What they gonna do? Come round up the black folk out there in Sugarland, Texas? Where they taking y'all? Fifth Ward? We taking you back where you came from. You taking me back to Fifth Ward? Is that where we going? Because I'll just catch an Uber back out here then. All right. Some of y'all in Brooklyn, we taking you back where you came from. Washington Heights? You gonna take me back to Washington Heights? Hell, I'm not. I was gonna go there tomorrow. I got my kinfolk go there. I was gonna go there tomorrow. Okay. I'm going back to Washington Heights, I guess. We're taking you back where your people is. Okay. Right off 162nd. All right. So just understand, they're upset as hell because we're not jumping up and down and stomping on things and tearing up the furniture and lighting no fires. We ain't holding no protests. We ain't swinging no flags. It's not enough dudes chasing interracial sexual access for them to make a real dent. You always know it's that dude. There's always that dude who's like, he's sitting in the middle of the Latinas. Hey, no Trump, no deportation. Hey, baby, which one of y'all look like J-Lo? It's always that dude. They looking around to see where the legitimate people are, because they understand that we are the spokespeople for the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendments. The 13th, 14th, and 15th rides on our backs. So you see, if we stand up and say, no, this only applies to us, that's it. Everybody who thought they were going to use it, just got knocked out the box. You don't get to override us. When they come and stick the microphone in our faces, we saying, yeah, that amendment on 13, 14, 15, that only applies to us. These other folks got a hell of an uphill climb because they can't grab us and say, oh, this for everybody. No, it's not. They coming to us and getting a brutal wake-up call. No, that's just for us. That's just for us. This does not apply to anybody else. This is just us. Just us. So they don't want to hold no interviews. Y'all notice that? They don't want to hold no interviews. They don't want to hold no polls. They don't want to do a man on the street. They don't want to do one-on-one nothing. They'll just get Roland Martin together with 3 or 4 folk to sit up here and go say the same damn crap they've been saying. They ain't coming out here talking to us on the street and saying how y'all feel about that. They don't want that answer. They don't want that answer. They don't want to hear that one because they know we're not backing you up this time. We're not backing you up. We're not going for it anymore. And we're not going to back it up. We're not going to sit up here and let you play us. No, those are our amendments. They're not yours. They're not we amendments. It's just ours. It's just ours. I'd like to give you all one more reminder here. One more reminder about the fact that power is not given, power is taken. Are we doing too much? Are we being too militant? No, we just writing our own damn rules. They are our rules. And I would like to give you all one more reminder here. I want to send a shout out to Michael B. Jordan. Shout out to Michael B. Jordan. This is a screen capture from his Instagram stories. Jonathan Majors got a new movie coming out, being a bodybuilder. Michael B. Jordan shared a story on Instagram. It's not there now, but folks took screen captures of it. He was shouting out Jonathan Majors for his new movie, and all I can say is right on. You damn right. You damn right. That's right. It's called Magazine Dreams. It's called Magazine Dreams, but you damn right. You damn right. Jonathan Majors, the only crime he committed was being in the wrong damn Uber that night.
And deal with it, nigga.
That's the only damn mistake he made. Jonathan Majors he didn't do a damn thing wrong. Period. Period. And you're not going to sit up here and gaslight us for that mess anymore either and rewrite history. You're not going to do that. Period. You're not going to tell us who we're going to approve of and who we don't. People, let me explain something to you very, very quickly here. You damn right we're going to be hardline. If we allow these people to do it, they will erase every single thing we have done and erase us along with it. And next thing you know, the thing that America sells to the world, the culture, next thing you know, everybody else has it. And we've been completely dispossessed, not only from the money, but what we've even done. That's what literally happens there. If we allow them to demonize Michael Jackson, they will grab a white person and claim that that's the real thing. That's why we got to ride for MJ. We're not riding for Michael Jackson because we approve of Michael Jackson. You ride for Michael because you understand that that's a war tactic being aimed at you. You will not dispossess our foundational culture that built a Michael Joseph Jackson. And we will not allow you to cancel or to erase them or to demonize them. You will not do so. We won't have it. You're not gonna make us ashamed to say his name, ashamed to stand next to him, ashamed to shout him out. You're not gonna do that. And folks, let me go one step further. And we don't have to compare Michael Jackson to damn me, Woody Allen.
And deal with it.
There's another thing. Our defense of him does not require us to compare him to any damn body else. It stands on its own 10 toes. It stands on its own 2 feet. We don't have to say, well, look at Woody Allen and look at, well, no, we're not going to compare a damn thing. It's because we said so. We can stand by Mike on his principles alone. We can stand by him on his virtues and on the facts alone. We don't have to come up and bring up anybody else and compare anybody else because there is no comparison. He didn't do what Woody Allen did. He didn't do what Woody Allen did. But furthermore, we don't have to bring up nobody else's name. He stands on his own credibility. And that's it. He stands on his own credibility. You're not going to demonize Michael Vick. That's right. You going to hear me and Steve Harvey going to be on the same damn page tonight. You might want to go ahead and spin this one back because you're not going to remember when Steve Harvey said that. He said, man, damn them dogs. Let him play. And that's just what it is. You damn right. Talking about some dog fighting. Man, damn them dogs. Y'all sitting up here killing babies? You sitting up here killing babies? Talking about abortion and telling him he can't play football for some dog fighting and y'all sitting up here aborting babies? If you don't get your crazy ass out of my face, let him play. That's the end of that. And he shouldn't be going to no prison either. Here, pay this little old fine and get back out there. We need you Sunday. That's the damn end of that. You got First Ladies of the United States and Bruce Jenner running over people and killing them in cars. And it didn't even cause a damn hiccup for them. You got to go Google that stuff. You can't even just look at it. You got to go Google. Bruce Jenner kill somebody? Yeah. Damn, Google that. Oh, damn, he sure did. Wow. He didn't even miss a season of the Kardashians. I know it was before that. You get the idea. But, man, look here. And you know, hell no. And then we got black folk who didn't do nothing wrong. And you gonna talk about we gotta justify them? Kiss my ass. I ain't gotta justify a damn thing. No, you are not gonna make us afraid, ashamed, or a damn thing else to be seen with Jonathan. I hope he ain't wearing the damn pink feather boa this time. It's like, all right, bro, don't do that one. I don't want him to wear the damn pink feather boa. I don't want that action going on. I'll stand beside him. I'm just like, oh, I hope he ain't wearing pink today. I hope he's not wearing the pink leather today. I know I invited him over here for this photo shoot. I hope it's not the pink leather thing this time. Valentine's Day is coming up. I hope he don't get the wrong idea. Just, Jonathan, damn it, can you just wear some black for a change? But that's it. Forget about it. No, you're not going to erase nothing. You're not going to cancel nothing. You're not going to shame us. You ain't going to do a damn thing. Period. We don't give a damn who you approve of. If we say he legit, he legit. That's it. That's it. That's all. Period. That's all. That's the end of that. If we say they're legit, that's it. Folks, if we allow them to, they'll sit up here and dig up something on every damn body. Look, they still trying to kick dirt on Dr. King. Remember, they were trying to kick dirt on Dr. King, on Malcolm X, Stokely Carmichael, Louis Farrakhan. People there will literally be, if we allow them to define anything, they'll be nobody. They'll be telling you about somebody's damn Hey, you know, he got a ticket for jaywalking. Oh, damn, I don't know if I can deal. Do you realize how silly they got folk talking nowadays? Damn, bruh. They said ticket for jaywalking. I don't know if I can fool with you. Same thing, yes, same thing with Kobe Bryant. Kobe Bryant did not do nothing wrong except he got deluxe room service. Damn! That's all Kobe Bryant did. He got deluxe room service. And folks seized on that. No, Bill Cosby didn't do nothing wrong neither. Give me my damn Cosby reruns. Give me my damn Cosby reruns. You ain't got a damn thing to say to me. Give me my Cosby reruns. Where's Rudy? Yes, I wanna see Claire Huxtable in her prime. Yes, I do. Yes, I want to see Felicia Rashad at the top of her game. Give me my damn Cosby reruns. You damn right. Let me turn this TV on big as hell. Let me go ahead and crank this volume up for you here with that Cosby Show theme song. You damn right. You damn right. Yes, I said it. What the hell you talking about? Folks, if we allow them to tell us who represents us or who is legit, we ain't gonna have anybody but damn me Billy Porter and Skip Gates. That's what we gonna have. We're gonna have that. They're gonna tell you that there's not another acceptable black person except Billy Porter and Skip Gates. They're gonna tell you those are good ones, right? We like them, that they're good. Yeah, those we can all agree on them. That's right there, brother. Now, notice they don't let you and me do that. You and me don't get to do that. You and me don't get to walk over there to them and say, you know what, let me go ahead and cancel some folk out, damn it. You don't get to do that. And what I'm telling you is that you held damn right. We're going to go hardline. And I'm so glad that Michael B. Jordan did this, because this is how, if Michael is going to cash in the chips, this is how you do it. Because here's the problem. And even Michael gets it. Michael, they ginned up some charges against Jonathan Majors today. Dude, it'll be you tomorrow. You know it's coming. It'll be you tomorrow. Tiger Woods had to damn me. Tiger Woods was his wife. Think about that for a few moments, folks. Y'all really think about the facts of that night? Because there were damn me photographs. Tiger Woods' wife is beating the damn car with a golf club. She's beating the damn car with a deadly weapon, and Tiger is getting sent to jail. What? Y'all remember that? So let me get this straight. Ellen Nordegren has a golf club. Yes. And she's chasing Tiger with it because she claimed that he was giving private lessons when she wasn't around. But then again, you know what you married her for, so it is what it is. Yes. And she's chasing him with a golf club. Yes. Chasing him down the street. Yes. Jonathan Majors is like, brother, I feel your pain. I know what you're going through. And let me get this straight. When the police showed up, they said, hey, Tiger, you look drunk. Come with us. Yes. So the white woman with the golf club got to go home. Yes. And the person whose car she was beating with him in it, they told him come down to the police station. Yes. Only in America. Jonathan Majors is sitting over there like, yeah, brother, I know what you're going through. Yes. I can't even tell you should have got out and ran because that didn't help me. Maybe I should have stayed in the car. Tiger stayed in the car. He got arrested. Jonathan Majors broke out running, got arrested. I'll be damned. The only thing a nigga can do is call Scotty and beat me up. That's the only other option you got. Hell no. Absolutely not. Dana White is sitting up there at the damn inauguration after he done smacked his woman up and whatnot. Okay, if Dana White can defend himself against his wife, how the hell Jonathan Majors got to face charges? What the hell? And if you allow them to, they'll just demonize every damn body, folks. And this is an old playbook. Jack Johnson didn't break any laws, so they made a law and then said, okay, now you're guilty of it. Think about that for a few moments. Jack Johnson did not break any laws, so they made a law so that they can say, okay, now you're guilty. Muhammad Ali didn't break any laws. He stood by his conscience. And they said, oh, canceled. They've been doing this, people. They've been doing that. And if you allow them to set the rules, they'll be doing this henceforth and forevermore. Every time we have somebody who has actually got some status and some stature and is actually built by us, here they come. Oh, you can't have that there now. No. You be listening to too many radical folk here. What you need is you need to be bumming some Lil Nas X. Y'all notice that? Yeah, as long as if you're a male wearing some satin and lace, it's like, okay, you're good by us. Here you go. Lil Nas X, Frank Ocean, Billy Porter, ain't nobody putting no charges on them. Nobody is sitting up here trying to dirty them up. Nobody's trying to cancel them. Did you all notice that? Yeah, so you cool if you're Billy Porter. You're in no danger of getting canceled. If you're Lil Nas X, you're in no danger of getting, you all right by us. Just do it. Whatever you did on the weekends, that's just what you did, dude. Whatever happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. Folks, if we allow them to, that's all we gonna have left. They're gonna be telling me, you and me, get that damn NWA out your damn thing. You need to be bumping this Frank Ocean, Lil Nas X right there. That's what you need to be having. That's where we'll be if we allow them to do that. So I wanted to send a big shout out here to Michael B. Jordan and let that be a lesson to everybody. Don't you let these people sit up here and tell you nothing. Don't let these people sit up here and tell you a damn thing. You got presidents sitting up here bragging about committing war crimes. We've got presidents who are bragging about violating international law and universal law and bragging about it. And trying to sit up here and tell you and me somebody else getting canceled and ain't nobody dead. No, we are not being too hardline. No, we are holding the straight line. We are exactly where we are supposed to be. We are exactly where we need to be. And that's exactly where we will continue to be. However, you might disagree. Therefore, we're going to go ahead and open up the Zoom. We're going to go ahead and open up the Zoom so that you'll have an opportunity to go ahead and speak to us about that. So you can get that off your chest, if you will. That's up to you. You can go ahead and do that. In the meantime here, I want to thank everyone, and I do mean everybody who's contributed to tonight's program on PayPal, Super Chat, Venmo. Shout out to my man, Mr. Rich Bird. Thank you very much for your support here. We appreciate that. Chadwick, Keenan, Cyberdyne, and the Super Chat. Thank you very much for your support here also. And to all of my members in the chat, I appreciate that as well. We're going to go ahead and take a very brief commercial, non-commercial break. When we come back, we'll take a few of your calls and more. This is the Black Channel.
When you visit MrBeTheTeacher.com, you can get a copy of his award-winning book, Guidelines for the Successful Student. While you're there, grab one of his newest tunes along with fun and educational lyric videos.
Never give up, don't worry, never give up, study. In order to
times 1 is 2, 2 times 2 is 4, 2 times 3 is 6.
Now swap names, he, she, they, and we. Simplify the Daddy divides as the fathering guide. Mommy multiplies and shares on what they buy.
You can also acquire his tutoring services via varsitytutors.com or tutor.com. If you wish to speak to Steve Burgess directly, you can do so through MrBeTheTeacher.com.
The Honey Badger and the Mongoose is a children's story for the family of how a honey badger and mongoose fight an evil alliance of venomous cobra snakes and hyenas that overhaul lost the balance of the savanna. The Big Five. The honey badger demands reparations. Will the Big Five give the honey badger reparations? Can the evil alliance of cobras and hyenas be stopped? The best new price for the hard and soft cover is at www.thehoneybagerandthemongoose.com. You can also find this book at Amazon, Audible, and Kindle.
Order yours today to experience all the benefits of Ash Kickin' Body Butter. With skin so smooth and soft, you'll thank us for it. Shop Ash Kickin' online. That's ASHKICKIN.com.
Hi, this is Brenda Starr, creator of Poetry with a Purpose and author of the book Pressed But Not Crushed. Pressed But Not Crushed is an anthology of political poems that address current and historical issues in American descendants of slave population and African American population. The book describes slaveries and its residuals, Jim Crow segregation, social depredation, and other relevant issues to American descendants of slaves and African Americans, including the current political climate that does not address our issues.
This is the Black Channel. I am your host, your brother, your humble servant, the Black Authority. Very glad to be with you all here this evening. Shout out to Go Hip Hop there. Go in the chat room there. He says protect hip hop. I absolutely agree with that. Absolutely, we need to protect everything. Have to protect everything. Let me tell y'all, I wish I had the ability or the time to deal with those things in depth. And who knows, I might actually take that because that is so comprehensive. That is so comprehensive. We made American music. And I'm not just talking about, in some vague generality. Literally, you can name the names. You can name the names, the times, the dates, the people. So we built the culture and everybody has gone to work trying to make us divorce ourselves from it. So if they practice enough white supremacy and are intimidating enough or lock enough doors, then we get up and abandon it ourselves. This is how you end up coming back to country music 80 years later and clapping for Beyonce. As if Beyonce is the first. It's like, by the way, we made this, right? Imagine that for a moment here. You damn right. We're going to let everybody else know you are guests in the house of hip hop. You are a guest because if we don't maintain our residency, if we don't maintain that, folks, next thing you know, you got other folk squatting in our house and telling us that we are guests in the house that we built. Think about that for a few moments, people. If we don't stand strong on what we built, we wake up one day and we got everybody else telling us that we are a guest in the house that we built, looking at us crazy, talking about this isn't your culture. And they being indignant with it. Well, this isn't your culture. How you figure this is your culture? How do you figure you made this? That's literally what will happen if we keep abandoning it. And because rap and hip hop is more informational based, it is really just downloading information as music. We were able to hold the line there, but we're not just holding the line, people. We are marching back and reclaiming everything we built. We will not be dispossessed. We will not. This is ours. This belongs to us. This is our legacy. This is what we are passing on to our children. Just like this was passed on to us, this is what we're passing on to them. And it is ours. It is ours by our creation. It is ours by our ownership. And it is ours by our birthright. By all three of those. We created it. It was passed to us, and it's something that was born for us. We were born for it. It is our birthright. It's ours. And some folks out there, if you allow them to pressure you enough, next thing you're going to give up every damn thing. You're going to give up every damn thing. And that's what you're intended to do. You are intended to keep retreating and keep falling back until eventually you've allowed yourself to be gentrified and colonized. Let's be clear. When you start making the very cogent argument and asserting yourself about, hey, this is ours, this belongs to us. No, you didn't make this. This belongs to us. When you start doing that, that clears the field. When you start doing that, that sets things straight. The other thing that does is it realigns you. It realigns you. You want to know why American music is so damn empty today? Because it has literally lost its soul. When we were making music, we were telling them what they were here for, what they were living for. We were defining human purpose. And because we were locked in and dialed in to melody and rhythm and harmony like nobody else was, that's how it became culture defining. And everybody else shows up, and then it becomes staid and stale and sterilized. And it's lost its soul. It doesn't speak to the people. Well, that's exactly what they want. Because when you've got something that speaks directly to the people, that's more important to them than money. It's more important to them than getting a pat on the head. You've transcended those things. Their attempts to distract you and keep you focused on something else is like, oh, no. I'm focused like a laser beam. And that's the same thing when it comes to history. History is worthless if your history has become distorted and bastardized. So it's important for us to stay dialed in to the truth of the 13th and 14th and 15th Amendments, and all the amendments, actually. It is imperative we stay dialed into that, because if we don't, then other people will snatch what's supposed to be for us. And here's the thing, people. Here's the real problem with this jackass over there at BET trying to sit up here and talk as if they're speaking for us. The problem here, sir, is that we cannot allow the 14th Amendment to become an amendment for illegals and immigrants, because that's you doing the same damn thing all over again. Now, an amendment that was made for us will now only be enforced for everybody else. What? That's what happens if we allow you to shoplift this off of us. If you're allowed to shoplift this off of us, then we're going to look up, and next thing we know, the 14th and 15th Amendments, you're going to swear it applies to everyone except us. You're going to say that wasn't for us either. That 14th Amendment, that applies to immigrants. 14th Amendment ain't about black folk. The 14th Amendment is about immigrants. You do understand that that's where this clown's writing and all these people echoing him, you do understand that that's the only destination it leads you to, right? The only destination that it leads you to is you saying that, oh, the 14th, 13th, 14th, 15th, that's not for us. That's not for the descendants of the slaves. That is not for the foundation. That's for immigrants. Oh, now we need another amendment. Since the first ones don't really apply to us, oh, now we need some more. Let me go ahead and jump over here on Zoom real quick. I got Brandon over here on Zoom. At least I think I got Brandon on Zoom. Let me go ahead and jump over here on Zoom. We got Brandon on Zoom. All right, Brandon, go ahead and unmute yourself. What's on your mind?
Yes, sir, my brother Jason. I was going through this rabbit hole, like you said. We cannot let these Anglo-Saxons tell us about our people. And so I went down that rabbit hole about Michael Jackson, and going down that rabbit hole, I went down that rabbit hole, no emotions attached, just looking for facts. And no, he did nothing. Even to the white people now was coming out saying he ain't did nothing. So then I go down a little further, and it comes to my opinion, I think everything that happened to Mike has something to do with that Neverland Ranch.
No. I mean, I don't know. I'll let you go ahead and finish your point, but that's not what kicked it off. But go ahead.
Okay. The reason why I make that statement is because of Walt Disney. If you got Michael Jackson, the top man in the game, that's sitting out here, that's creating an amusement park, not only if you're talking about music, you could drop an album a year, maybe 2 years. You talking about bringing in $1 billion in revenue monthly, weekly. And we already seen how Michael Jackson was moving with buying the Beatles and the lights. So I was just thinking, like you said, no, that wasn't what set it off. I'm just trying to get educated, and I'm just asking, could that have been a concept that made them go after Mike even more?
No. Let me explain to you what happened here. For those of us who are old enough to remember, right before MTV got started, for those of you who are old enough to remember, do you remember back in 1980, 1981? Remember them?
Yeah, I wasn't born yet.
Okay. Well, nigga, you look old as hell. I'll be damn. Okay.
Shit, man, I'm 40 years old.
Okay, let me keep to myself there. Okay, Elvis Presley died in 1977. Elvis Presley was 42 years old. He died in 1977. So within really almost immediately, but for those of y'all remember those, they had commercials back in the early 80s. You don't remember. You were just getting born. But back in the early 80s, 1981, 1982, before MTV got kicked off, they had commercials on TV. Y'all, anybody remember the Time Life commercials? What? Damn! For those of you in your late 40s and 50s or older, remember back when they used to have those commercials on TV for Time Life music? They had Charlie Pride, they had Conway Twitty, and they had Elvis Presley. That was how they were marketing the music back then. There's a bunch of y'all remember those commercials were nonstop. That's what they used to do right before MTV got started. Every time you turn around, that they had those commercials for Time Life music. And you'll remember back in the early 80s, now Elvis Presley, who died in 77, back in the early 80s, 81, 82, they had nonstop commercials about that for Elvis Presley. And I remember those commercials as a child. And it said Elvis Presley, the number one selling music artist in history. Well, yeah, you could say that in 1981, and you could say that in 1982. 1984, you couldn't say that anymore. Let me explain to you what an earthquake, what a shattering of the senses that was, brother. The man died in 77. Do you realize that was a traumatic event for white society when he died?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
They didn't even get a decade away from it before he had been eclipsed. They had basically made it about half of a decade, 5 years before Michael Joseph Jackson takes off. And just that quickly, you can't even run those commercials anymore, brother. That's why I'm bringing up the commercials. They send all the TV stations and whatnot, they're playing those commercials. You now can't play those commercials anymore. You can't claim he's the number one selling. Michael blew past him just instantly. Do you realize what a shock to the system that is? Now, I'm using the word shock to the system, but now I'm going to use a medical phrase. In medicine, when a person does things they shouldn't do, like, for example, if you just try to quit drinking cold turkey, you can die from that, actually. That's what happened to what's his name, who was on True Blood, the black fellow who was on True Blood. In medicine, it's referred to as, and the body considers it takes such an insult to the system. The body takes it as such an insult Brother, do you realize that was an insult to white society? That Elvis Presley couldn't even be dead for 5 years before this Negro comes in and starts erasing him. That was an insult of epic, unforgivable proportions. Brother, the beef was on right then, right there. The moment we got to take down all our Time Life commercials, that talking point, #1 selling artist in history, gone that quickly. We can't even grieve. Brother, how long were black folk grieving about Tupac? Folk were talking about he was still alive 10, 15 years later.
Yeah, true.
Okay, that was in black society. White folk didn't even get 5 years. They barely got 5 years before, here we go, blew them out. That was it. The beef was on right then, right there. They all had their little huddle together. Okay, we got to undermine this. Then Michael adds insult to injury. I'm not going to say what you think I'm going to say just yet. He adds insult to injury by going on his world tour. That made it worse. You see, Elvis Presley could get up there on stage and the girls would cheer and this, that, and the other. Michael Jackson was not popular. Michael Jackson was contagious. Yeah, Michael absolutely. Jackson was a phenomenon. Elvis Presley had women up there cheering. Michael Jackson's videos of the news stories about him were showing ambulances showing up. Like, hey, folks is falling out. People are passing out. You show up in the Michael Jackson concert, it's just a whole nother level. Elvis didn't have folks passing out and girls fainting. Like, Elvis didn't do that. This man, and Michael proudly did it. He just danced around there, picked his heifer up and scared her. She in the way to the stage. That's what Michael was doing, brother. That was a whole different stratosphere. And he didn't apologize for it. He didn't say, y'all just need to calm down now. Don't do all that. Just tell me. Michael just let it rip. He said, that's what happens when I show up. That's just what it does. That's just what they do. Brother, they wasn't ready for that. They were not ready for that. So when you have a black man who did it like that and he was unapologetic and then he grabs Elvis Presley's daughter. Damn! Then he grabs Elvis Presley's daughter, and we all know Michael Jackson is no mandingo. He was no mandingo by any stretch of the imagination. But don't you know that's what they were fantasizing about over there in white society? They were like, oh, this big black brute. He's just ravaging her. And all of us are like, Michael Jackson is most likely sitting on the damn couch with her with hot cocoa. I guarantee they sleep in separate beds. But that's not what they were thinking about. I mean, they were thinking this is Lex Steele action going on. It's like, no, it's nothing like that. But it doesn't matter. It doesn't. If he's giving her a peck on the cheek, the fact that she chose him. Oh, no, forget it, man. This is a blood debt. We are going to be after you till the day you're dead. That's it.
Okay.
You have sullied the Presley name. You are spitting and trotting on his grave. Oh, no, we cannot let that go. So by the time you get to Neverland, bruh, it's like, oh, they've been after him. But the Beatles catalog, we were already out. He could have been living in a cardboard box. He could have gave Paul McCartney those recordings and we would still be where we are today. They would have found some white kids or somebody. They would have found a woman. They would have pinned something on him regardless. You can't let him go. You can't. You just can't. You cannot let that stand. You got to have something. You got to do something. You cannot let that stand. Not that you can't.
All right, bro. I appreciate you, man. You have a wonderful evening, my brother.
Thank you for giving us a call tonight. Yeah, you can't let that stand. You cannot let it stand. You cannot let it go. We're going to find something to pin on you. Oh, yeah, by the way, if we can't find something, we'll make something. What? Please understand that in the music business, my folks who live in California, my folks who live in New York, my folks who live in Miami, my folks who live in Atlanta, all it takes is one white woman to go behind closed doors with you and bam, we got you. Diddy has, by my count, it is at least 3 white women. Remember, I on my other YouTube channel, I went through her lawsuit. There's one white woman who said that Diddy raped her 4 times. 4 times. Now, when you hear that, oh, that's awful, that's terrible. Okay, you're a dummy who doesn't listen. I read the lawsuit. She said he forced himself on me and then I left. Okay, what about after that? Well, he called me and you took his call. Yes. And he apologized profusely and told me it was terrible and awful and he didn't know what came over him. He would never do it again and it was bad. And he apologized profusely. Okay. Did you go to the police? No. What did you do? I forgave him. What? You forgave him? Yes. All right. And I did. Okay, what did you do after that? I decided to see if we could carry on our friendship. Wait a minute, what? Folks, it's in the lawsuit. This is what she said in her lawsuit. You can look it up for you. I already covered this before. That's what she said in the lawsuit, is that he raped me and he called me and apologized profusely, and so I forgave him and to see if we could carry on our friendship. And what I'm saying is that, so let me get this straight for all the people trying to crucify this man over that. This woman just filed a lawsuit where she told you that she gave Diddy at least 1 complimentary free rape. Oh, I'm going to be very undignified about it. So you're telling me that you spotted him 1 complimentary rape? It's like, here you go. You can have 1 complimentary, 1 rape on the house. Really? And then she said, okay, and we try to take our friendship again. Well, what happened after that? Oh, he forced himself on me again. He did it again, a second time. It was all night too. We were at a hotel and he kept me there for a couple of days. He just ravaged me and it was a horrible thing. And I didn't know where I was. Okay. Did you go to the police? No. So what did you do? I went home. Okay. What happened after that? He called me. Oh, this sounds familiar. And what did he say? He said he was very sorry. He was very, very sorry for what happened there. He apologized, and I told him, you did it to me again. I just want to know how many women have ever said that in their lives. Let me stop the program here for a few moments about folks telling you about who we're going to celebrate and who we're not. How many women in here have ever said to a man, you promised you wouldn't rape me again? How many women in here have had that conversation? Now, Johnny, you know the last time you did it to me, I told you don't do that to me no more. Yeah, baby, I knew you said that right there, but I don't know what came over me. How many females have had that conversation with a fella? You did it again. I mean, we're not talking about he drove your car without your permission. We're not talking about he didn't screw the cap back on the Coca-Cola without your permission. We're talking about you're saying that he's had sex with you without your permission. You did it again. How many females have ever had that conversation where you told the fella, you did it to me again? Again? Does this sound real to the women in here? I mean, how many of your the most ratchet thought girlfriend you know, how many conversations she had like that? Girl, you know he forced himself on me again. And then she said she forgave him again. So let me get this straight. You spotted Diddy, according to you, you spotted him not 1 but 2 complimentary rapes. Because the first one wasn't enough. Yeah, she said do that. You let them tell you who to like and the world turns upside down. You better have some rationality for yourself. You let these people write the rules, and when you find out the details, they'll have you believe in anything. Let me go ahead and get John from BK up here. What's on your mind, John?
What up, homie? How you been?
All right, brother. What's on your mind?
Hold on. Let me take this off. Give me a second. All right. Yeah, man. So I've been taking notes, man. You just hit me in the head with this last aspect of the situation because, yes, there's no woman that's going to chime in to say that they've been experiencing some double rape type situation. So you already know. I'm going to first start off from the beginning because I took notes. And the Neely Fuller, you know what I'm saying? Rest in peace. You know what I mean? I have to go back to that. I studied journalism back in the day, so we always understood how to take notes from righteous people like yourself. And we can't bypass the information. You know what I'm saying? So when you said something about Neely Fuller earlier, I had to bring that up. I had to notate that and document it. And then I went on to the infiltration of the people like these white people that be able to get off and get away with, working with the FBI. You know what I'm saying? I definitely dealt with people like that. We already know about the BMF. We already know about everybody that's involved on
okay,
the
brother, did you have a question, John?
Oh, no, yeah. Well, I do, but I just wanted to chime in. You know what I'm saying? I'm just chiming in, going down the line.
Oh, okay. Okay, go ahead.
Real quick. I got two more things. The amendment, right? The 14th, yeah. But my thinking is, how is it that these? I'm gonna ask you this question: how is it that it's so easily bypassed that these underminers, aka illegals, that's coming over here, and they had their 4 years of fame when they came over here to New York City, when they came to Chicago, when they came to California, especially in Vegas and New Orleans and everything like that. You know what I'm saying? They was able to get away with things like not having a driver's license, because I know people personally that their license is suspended, but they can't drive. And they drive, they get pulled over, they go to jail. But
the reason for it is because, out in California, I talked about this a decade ago. The sheriff out there outright said that they were not going to impound the cars of illegals. Now, we impounded the cars of citizens, but not illegals. Now, when that happened right there, the legislature should have removed him right then. So you have a sheriff who is literally holding a press conference to say, we are giving illegals, non-citizens, a pass because this would be too much of a hardship on them. Let me get this straight. So this wouldn't be too much of a hardship on the citizens, but it would be on non-citizens? What the hell kind of wacky ass world is this? So that's the kind of thing that's been happening across the country.
Well, let me ask you a question. So you think that the people that's law enforcement over there, took that notation and said to themselves, yeah, I'm going to tell my deputies and my sheriffs and everybody else that's on the streets and trying to do law enforcement, if you see what you think is illegals, they obviously don't speak the language. So you could just, if you happen to pull them over, then let them go, because by law now.
No, it doesn't even have to get that far. Let's go ahead and take a look at New York.
Let's see how that shit works.
Well, let's take a look at New York, for example. First of all, everybody knows who the illegals are and they know where they're going. So when you got the hotels and whatnot down there in Times Square, or when you go into upstate New York, so you got the illegals who are the housekeepers, the landscapers, the nannies. They work for white folk with money. So the thing is, they're not just floating around everywhere. They are. Everybody knows who they work for. They know these people know who to tell you. The illegals know when they're working for somebody with some money. They know when they're working for somebody who's connected.
Even though they don't speak the language.
Everybody, biggest lie in the world. Everybody speaks English. Everybody speaks English. If you have ever been down there to Mexico, everybody speaks English down there. It's only when you come up here they start playing with you and acting like they don't speak English. Brother, they wouldn't have come here if they didn't speak English. They know, act like you don't speak English so you can play dumb because you don't know who's safe and who isn't. So just act like you don't speak English. But as a black person, and I've done this, as soon as you let them know you know some Spanish, then they stop talking Spanish too. Now, isn't that interesting? So first they don't know no English, but as soon as you let them know you know some Spanish, they just stop talking altogether then. So I've seen that happen to me over I learned that when I was a teenager. They're chatterboxes right up until you let them know you know some Spanish too. Then they just stop talking altogether. So it's like, okay, they don't want to speak unless they can hide what they're saying. So they just think you don't know the language.
But I don't. But go ahead.
Well, most people don't, but they just think you don't know the language. Here's the thing. You go down to Mexico, brother, you ain't going to give your money as a person who speaks English. If you don't speak Spanish, you're not going to give your money to nobody you don't understand what they're doing. You're not going to give your money to somebody that you don't understand why you're giving it to them. You're not going to hop in You are not going to hop in a taxi cab with a fellow who is talking straight Spanish. You told him where to take you and he responds in straight Spanish. You don't know if he understood you or not. You don't know where the hell he taking you. We haven't come to an understanding. So, brother, everybody speaks English down there. It's only when they come up here they start playing that game. Thank you very much for giving us a call tonight. It's only when they come up here they start playing that game. Everybody speaks English. You ain't gonna sit up here and come to another country and don't speak any English. They all speak English. They want to find out how safe it is to speak it around you. Because once they let you know they know the language, now they're responsible for it. Because he's like, oh, you understood what I said. There's not a single one of you who would pack up and go to a country you don't know the damn language of. Okay, these other folk are not that silly. They didn't come here by accident. They know exactly what they're doing. But they are counting or assuming that the average American is not bilingual, and therefore it will be safe. They can communicate with each other because they think they're speaking in code. But as soon as you let them know that, oh, by the way, I know that code language too, now they're just going to shut up. And I've witnessed that my entire adult life. First time it happened to me was I was a teenager. Because I was fresh out of high school and I took Spanish in high school. Fresh out of high school, I took Spanish in high school, was working a construction job, and as soon as I heard them saying some Spanish, I was being too smart by half. I responded to them with Spanish because I understood what they were saying. And next thing I know, it was about the Negro who hablo español. It became that. That's the whispering I started hearing then. The Negro who hablo español. I'm like, okay. Blew my cover. Let me go ahead and get Gene up here on Zoom. We got Gene on Zoom. What's on your mind, Gene?
How you doing, Jason? I wanted to bring up just 2 points. One was, Michael even spoke about them having disdain for him. As a matter of fact, he spoke about Madonna, and she made that, that little accusation about him going to Disneyland when he told her, out of jealousy, of course, that, he was having people faint at his concerts and, men will yell for him. Well, he said men wouldn't yell for anybody and females screamed and yelled, but she did not receive that. She did not receive that admiration. So what she did was, with her disdain, she decided to ask him, do he want to go out? She was going to take him out. And he told her, of course. And she said, he said, but I don't want to go to any bar with men that dress like women. So she replied, well, I don't want to go to Disneyland. He said, I never said I wanted to go to Disneyland. So, they always try to come up with some type of little move to try to just completely take us off our square. And so far as the other situation in regards to, white supremacy, believing that there's this two-sided law, I had a recent conversation with my uncle, and he couldn't grasp the concept of what he was saying because we had the conversation and he brought up the whole Diddy situation and a DC politician that got caught up in some stuff. And I was explaining to him, this young man neither one of them did anything outside of what white supremacy do. The only difference is their skin complexion. As a matter of fact, Diddy didn't do anything illegal. And he just got indignant as hell. I'm tired of this shit. You dumb niggas. Y'all something that think y'all could do what the white man do. So I simply asked him this. So do you believe that there's a such thing of a one-sided justice system and we should only be the ones getting punished for quote-unquote illegal acts, he didn't have nothing else to say to me. He began to start calling me stupid. And it's just wow how some of our people just don't grasp the concept of how important it is to guard what's ours at all costs.
Well, you got to understand, for the folks out there who got the plantation mindset of keep your head low right here, you know, and you don't make no trouble here. That's the real issue. It wouldn't be no trouble if you wouldn't make none. We're a different breed. We're not trying to live on our damn knees. We're not trying to ration. What we understand is that racism, white supremacy begins between your ears. It begins there. And the real world is just where they start executing it. It begins there. The closer you get to the source of stamping it out there, the closer you are going to get to annihilating it completely. When you allow folks to take that first step, that's the problem. And when you are comfortable in the presence of that first step, and other folks are telling you about that, that's how you get to the second and third step. You got there because you comfortable in that kind of situation. So for those of us who are like you and me, and we're not comfortable with it, we don't want to hear about being comfortable with it. We're not trying to rationalize being comfortable with it. We don't want to hear anybody trying to tell us how here's the brighter side of being comfortable with it. No, we're not a receptive audience, and we're not trying to be. Thank you very much for giving us a call tonight. And you got to watch out, especially for old niggas. They're comfortable with it, and they're not trying to have empowerment. They want acknowledgement. You and me are not looking to be acknowledged. Let me go ahead and see if we can get Agnes up here on Zoom. All right, Agnes, what's on your mind?
Hi, good evening. I just wanted to chime in about the 14th Amendment and really the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendments. A lot of brainwashing is going on. I went to a recent town hall with my congressional representative, and I went there with her. I went there and told her the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendments do not apply to you because you became a naturalized citizen, and this only applies to Black Americans. So you cannot tie in anything, your agenda and what you're trying to do, into the 13th, 14th Amendments. Because when you came here in 1986, you knew that anything having to do with slavery didn't pertain to you or apply to you, and neither did Amendments 13, 14, and 15. So it's disingenuous of you to use that as a tie-in for whatever political message you're trying to use to include non-U.S. citizens, period, in a discussion. Believe it or not, in Seattle, Washington, that got an applause. I think it was refreshing for people to hear someone with common sense and common decency. Now, up here, there are a bunch of, when I say fringe lunatics, I mean mouth-breathing, frothing, you need to send them to Western Washington State Mental Hospital types, okay? But things have moderated because the economy has taken a downturn. And I think now some people are realizing that the representation, when I say representation, the political misleadership class, they're in trouble because folks are mad about where the money didn't go. And now these revelations are coming out. Trump really was telling somewhat of the truth, or maybe some of the things we could actually verify he actually did say, okay?
Well, here's our thing about it, though. It doesn't really matter. It's less important what Trump says or doesn't say. The real thing is people are monitoring our reaction. They're monitoring what we're doing. They were looking to see if we were going to have like a George Floyd response. That's what everybody's waiting on, because we've shown them in recent history that we can do that. Trump is in the White House, and we're not doing the George Floyd thing. We're letting everybody know this is not a George Floyd situation. You're not going to get that energy from us. And the rest of them have tried their raggedy bootleg Fred Sanford version. It's not kicking off neither. So they're waiting for that. They're trying to figure out how to goad us and, coerce us and badger us into doing that part, because that's the element that's missing. And so far, it's not working. It's not going to work. We're not going to hit the streets. We're not going to allow anybody else to badger us or bully us into passing off our legitimacy and telling folk that you're a part of our legitimate grievance. No, you're not. You're something else. You're something else. You're an immigrant issue. And we did not fight for immigrant rights. And you're not going to sit up here and bully us and tell us that that's what we're doing. I'll let you have the last word.
Long and short of it, it was important to let this congressional representative know this because she was full of shit and she was doing a disservice because another person who also happened to be foundational Black American came out and just said, this has nothing to do with immigrants or immigrant rights. So you can just sit down and be quiet off of that. And with that, I say be one.
Thank you very much for giving us a call tonight. You got to be consistent, man. You got to be consistent. Make sure you have your talking points together. Make sure you know what you're arguing for. And that's why I'm having this conversation with you all tonight. I've clarified it for you. And that's an immigrant issue. That's an immigrant issue. Don't let folks sit up here and gaslight you into thinking that 14, 15, that's an immigrant issue. No, it's not. We were not stomping for an immigrant issue. That's a whole different thing. And this corruption of it and hijacking the 14th Amendment and saying, you know what, this would fit immigrants pretty good. No. You're not going to take our Black empowerment jacket and say, okay, this is an immigrant jacket now. That we're not going to sit up here and stand back and let people take it, and then we're going to condone it and hang our heads. And, oh, well, you know, they shoplifted that off of us here. We're not going to sit idly by while they do that anymore. We're not going to do that. Okay, we got OGK Network up here on Zoom. OGK Network, I'm going to give you 5 seconds here to go ahead and get everything on for me here. Make sure you have your camera and your microphone turned on. OGK Network, and we'll give you another second here. You sitting in the dark. I hope we're not prepping our OnlyFans. That would be awkward. Okay, OGK Network here. Thank you very much for giving us a call tonight. Let me see if we can get Remy up here on Zoom. Where's Remy at?
Hey, Jason, how you doing?
Okay, we got Remy here on Zoom. Now, Remy, I just need to make sure you have your camera and your microphone turned on for me here. I'll give you 5 seconds to do that, or we're going to have to move along here. So, Remy, make sure you have that together. Okay. Remy ain't ready. Remy is not ready. That's all right, though. Like I say, folks, the reason why we have these conversations here is so that we can get everybody on the same page about these things so you all can hear the talking points. This is in the tradition of our ancestor, Brother Neely Fuller, making sure that you are all codified on this so it has been explained and dissected to you. The educational effort continues. The educational campaign continues. Now the 14th Amendment has been dissected and explained to you. Then now that you understand the historical context of it, that is what defines the terms that you see in those clauses. And that's why I went painstakingly to explain to you the status of everybody else. Now that you understand, it doesn't apply to them because they didn't need an amendment because their rights and their citizenship or their residency was already acknowledged and honored. So by definition, it couldn't have been in reference to them because none of them were being disenfranchised. They weren't then, they aren't now. So this is ours. This is just for us. And the campaign to hijack it and steal it and take it so you can redefine it. And then next thing you know, tell us that it ain't got nothing to do with us. Because that's where this is ultimately going. Ultimately, they'll come back and tell you and me the 14th Amendment has nothing to do with us. That it's an immigrant amendment and that we need to go get us an amendment for black folk and for foundationals because the 14th Amendment doesn't apply to you. This applies to immigrants. It doesn't apply to you folks who were here before or slaves. It ain't got nothing to do with you. You do understand that's where it goes next, right? So no, this is ours. This is ours. And we are going to abide by that, and we will uphold that. And when they say, Trump is saying this just for y'all, you damn Skippy. It sure is. Welcome to the New World Order. We're going to go ahead and wrap things up here tonight. I want to thank everyone who's contributed to tonight's program on PayPal, Super Chat, Venmo, Raven, Kadeem, Creole King, Willis, John, everybody else here. Thank you very much for your support, Cam, and everybody else. If you are new here to the Black Channel, welcome to the Haven of Intelligent Black Thought. We do this every weekend. Click that red subscribe button. Click that yellow notification bell. Join us each and every time that we're here. If you haven't been to our website, blackchannelfilms.com, check out our groundbreaking best-selling documentary work, blackchannelfilms.com. That is blackchannelfilms.com. I want to thank all of you for tuning in to tonight's program, live or recorded. Thank you for liking, subscribing, and sharing. And this concludes tonight's broadcast of the Black Channel. I am your host, your brother, your humble servant, the Black Authority. And until next time, my brothers and my sisters from around the world, remember, black is the future, and the future is ours.